Hi, friends. It's Pastor Tim at First Baptist White Plains. Well, our nation is going through a coming of age moment, is it not? We've all seen the images of George Floyd on the ground with the police officer's knee on his neck. We've all seen the protests. We've seen the riots, but let us not be distracted. Let us not be taken to a side about a few people who have done this to take advantage of a situation. Let us focus in on the lament that so many of my African American brothers and sisters see on a daily basis in their neighborhoods and on their streets, and have parents who have to have the talk with their children about how to behave around police and other type situations in order to survive. This is absolutely terrifying. It's exhausting for them. And I want to listen. I want to listen to their stories. I want to give value to their experience and validate them. We are a nation that is broken. We all know the Liberty Bell, a beautiful symbol of liberty, right? In Philadelphia. But it's also a symbol that's broken. Pretty apt as well. Both the liberty, the ringing of that bell as an aspiration of liberty for all, but the crack as a reality that not everybody has that liberty. African Americans were enslaved in many states of the nation at that time. And the Native American people and the way they were treated was outrageous. The Constitution stipulates that enslaved people were only 3/5 human. That's a crack in the bell of liberty. And so we need to hear these voices. We need to see these cracks. And right now, our veneer, societal veneer is thin. We're in the midst of pandemic. We're in the midst of 40 million people who have lost their jobs, many of which may not come back anytime soon. And we are we're raw as a nation. But maybe it is in this moment, this precise moment, that God can speak to us and show us God's plan for our lives together. We just celebrated Pentecost with our sister church, Mission Batista. It was a beautiful service in Spanish and in English, in singing. We had a beautiful time. We've done this for a number of years, but we had to do it on Facebook Live this year, and we did what we had to do, but we still did it together, and it was beautiful. That is what I hope that we can see Pentecost as we enter into this season of Pentecost, a season of God's fresh breath coming onto the community and then equipping them with language to be able to speak to people in faraway cultures and societies. The love of God, to speak the love of God. And so, church, we need to not only speak the love of God, but we need to listen in order to be able to speak it well and effectively and relevantly and authentically to all of our brothers and sisters who are going through difficult times right now. We as a Pentecost people are also being pushed. The Holy Spirit came upon them, and then what? They were pushed out into the four corners of the world at that time. So being pushed means that it's uncomfortable sometimes. And to be a people of faith means to walk in risk, to take a risk. So in some small way, this is a risk for me as a white man to speak about race. I know many, some white pastors who have done this and have had significant pushback. There is a risk there for me inherent in this, but it is also what needs to be said. How can I tell my congregation that faith is a risk and take no risks myself? The reality is I need to speak out and speak to my white brothers and sisters and let them know that it's not okay, that implicit bias and these things need to be exposed, and those things within me need to be exposed. And so that's the difficult thing. That means that I might misspeak. I need to hear from so many who have had experiences different than mine that can teach me as well about your experience and help me to be a better example of Christ. Christ who seldom sought out confrontation, but when confrontation came to him, he addressed it head on every time. When the people were being taken advantage, the poor were being taken advantage by the money changers in the temple, Jesus confronted their system of oppression by turning over the tables. When people wanted to know who was it that they could exclude from the law of God to love your neighbor, Jesus says, no, you don't exclude anybody. You need to be a neighbor. You need to be like the Good Samaritan. See, he caught their attention by making the Good Samaritan the hero of the story. So what is going to get our attention? I don't know. I hope that these images of these terrible images of George Floyd will catch our attention and will spark within us the breath of God to say, you know what, the church can no longer be an agent of asphyxiation. We need to be an example of breath, of liberation of breath, to help people know that God hears their cry, and to be an example of that, and to share in their struggle. That is the journey of faith. That is the difficult nature of it. It is a risk. When Jesus told the earliest disciples, when they said, where are you going? He had caught their attention. He had sparked their imagination. Where are you going? They wanted to be near him. And he said, he didn't tell them a definite destination. He said, come and see. So let's join this faith journey together, folks. Let's come and see. Let's find out what God is unearthing in our nation right now. Because I think it can be something great. It can be something powerful. That's my prayer. That's my prayer, that I speak to God, but more importantly, I listen in my prayer time with God. How is God moving me? How is God moving our country? And I think we need to listen to one another. Especially my white brothers and sisters need to do some more listening to our black brothers and sisters and people of color. We need to listen. We need to share in the burden as best we can, and share the breath of God as a Pentecost people. Won't you join me on the risk and the journey of faith? Let us find out where Jesus will take us. Let us come and see.